Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to Not Funny Guys Presents Red Dwarf Rewatch. I am your host, Dr. John. I am still recovering for whatever it was, so I apologize for the lateness of this episode. But let's roll. All right, so we are past the midway point of Series 10. We are now at Episode 4, Entangled, directed and written by, as usual, Doug Naylor. This was released on the 25th of October, 2012. And we do have a couple. We have Steve Wickham, would be the Beg Chief, our little alien friends who look a lot like the Gelfs. Peter Elliott is our person playing the chimp, who, when re-evolved, as we will see, is then played in human form by Sidney Stevenson as Professor Eddington. But we will get to that momentarily. But let's get there, or get a little bit closer, by breaking this down. So, we open with Red Dwarf, Lister on the bridge. He has a massive kebab that has been left there for him by Crichton. He's talking to him about it. It's huge. It's literally so big. Bigger than anybody should probably try to fit in their mouth in one bite. He ends up spilling his beer all over the control panel. He uses parts of the kebab to help put it out. Actually, I'm sorry. I take that back. He ends up spilling on the control panel. It starts crackling. He pours beer on to put it out, and then he actually drops parts of his kebab. And then he takes the kebab pieces back and puts them back on the kebab and eats it. Yeah. Just reminding us of how disturbingly gross and repulsive his character is. He finds out that there's a life form depicted. Yeah, it appears on the monitor. Rimmer comes in and gives him like the 411 about not eating in the drive room, giving him a dress down. Rimmer goes on about helping correct safety regulations designed to protect the crew. And Lister then points out that the original crew died because of Rimmer. He then argues that because he killed everyone, was it his fault or the system? Was it the man or the system? And despite his attempts to say it was the system, which he's now fixed, Lister keeps bringing it back to, no, it was just you. So he's updated these things, which includes a lot of paperwork. And so he hands Lister the first 20 pages to get started. We then find Kat and Crichton in the hallway. They run into each other. Apparently, Kat is hunting a space weevil with looks like a book. And Crichton is running tests on the quantum rod that we apparently retained all the way back from Trojan, which is episode 1 of this season. He discusses the use of synchronicity, and then they start talking in synchronicity. Believe it to be the crystals in the quantum rod. He talks about this book that talks about the roots of coincidences, which apparently the rods are enhancing. And it turns out that this is the exact same book that the cat is holding, which is their little freaky moment, like. And they, like I said, they didn't freak out. Crichton goes to tell Lister about what's going on, finds him in a spacesuit at the window outside. Apparently, he misplaced his keys. Oh, gosh. Crichton lets him back in. He's still looking for those life signs he kept seeing. Apparently, though, when looking for these life signs, he took Starbug out last night and ran into some genetically engineered garbage gobblers. These are the Begs. He spent the night drinking with them, and he lost Starbug in a card game. He didn't just lose Starbug. He bet Rimmer too. And now he has 24 hours to turn him over. Crichton has accident forms. A whole box of them was given to my Rimmer. Lister then throws them in the airlock like binders. This will be a theme. We discover that Crichton, in order to dry utensils, uses his heat exhaust vent, which is out of his butt. Okay. That's gross. Rimmer is looking for Lister. Rimmer goes on about the safety forms again and again. We see him carrying a box now and putting up signs. Goes to the drive room where he finds Lister. They end up talking about the two different things. While they appear to be talking about the same thing, this whole little, comedy of error kind of gags where it seems like Rimmer thinks he's talking about the forms. He's talking about getting, how should I put this? He's talking about trying to find a way to get this device off of him and getting rid and selling Rimmer. So of course he's talking about betting Rimmer in a card game. and Rimmer thinking about the forms. To sum it up, everyone else comes to the drive room. They know about the bet, and they finally let Rimmer in. In fact, at one point, the cat quotes his CV. Will not help, will not clean, will have sex with anything. Absolutely spot on. So they can't outrun the creditors because they had placed a harness, a really weird one, on Lister. It's a groin exploder. And of course, Crichton notes that the bags are not smart enough. So they must have gotten this somewhere. So Rimmer is, while it's this groin exploder, Rimmer is expressing his amazing pleasure at this. When Crichton then points out that if Lister dies, so does Rimmer. Another entanglement. We have this quantum entanglement between Cat and Crichton. We have this life or death entanglement between Crichton and Lister, because we all remember he only exists to keep Lister sane. And if Lister dies, he gets shut down. So they take the blue midget to go speak with the Beggs. And they pretend that Rimmer is old and useless. They're trying to offer them something else. The Spoon of Destiny is part of their exchange. And the Beggs are not going for it. They offer to play cards again. If they lose this time, they will take the cat and the droid. Start experiencing the synchronicity now. And at one point, they talk about choking when the Beggs all of a sudden choke and die. But Lister is still attached to the groin exploder. And apparently, the synchronicity is caused by intense emotional states that drive the coincidence. Cat's saying he's cool as a cat. It's not going to be hard to get emotional. It's going to be quite hard for him to get emotional. But then Lister cuts off his hair. And all of a sudden, the TV in the room turns on. And there are some actors on there who appear to be talking about the very predicament when Cat finds a book. Very predicament that Lister's in. The same book from before about coincidences. There are... They then look at the cover and they realize that there are dominoes on the cover of the book that have a set of numbers that they then believe are coordinates. This leads them to a space station where they hope to get assistance. They're getting kind of really annoyed by the whole synchronicity of things. They find this place that apparently was set up to ERA, which is on the groin exploder. This station, Erroneous Reasoning Research Academy is what it stands for. And it's a place for specialized in wrongness. The idea being that two theories were proven wrong, but then together they create something that's right. And so the staff was astoundingly good at being incorrect. The entire experiment, though, was a failure. And basically, they gathered all the scientists who were stupid and wrong. Sounds like the Department of HHS these days. Oh, no, kidding. Sorry for that political intrude there. Of course, the entire experiment didn't work. The guy who started the project was so wrong, he tried to kill himself and failed. Then they find that there is one life form preserved in stasis. And of course, everything on the station is very backwards and wrong. But they, like I said, they find a life form. It turns out to be a woman. When they open it up, though, there's a whole thing. Like, they use Rimmer's soft light drive to get inside. He commits the defreezing process and lets out. It's Professor Eddington, not Kachansky for a moment there. But she's an ape. Apparently working on evolution theory when she devolved herself into that ape. On the ship, she's causing all kind of chaos. They find that they have a machine that was supposedly is hers that will then revolve her. They turn it in and back into a human in order to help free Dave. When they rematerialize her, she is completely naked. And Dave gives her his jacket, and he's going to get her some clothes. And everybody's like, take your time. Irene, I think is what she wants to be called after introductions. And she's wearing glasses like upside down, like this. Yes, just like that. That's how you know she's a dummy. But she starts hitting on everybody. And she's dumb as a rock. She thinks Rimmer is so intensely she thinks she is apparently horny. Let's just put it that way. They then engage in like a high intense guessing game to figure out what's the actual combination, because she doesn't seem to remember. And they literally pick the one she is not certain of, because she'll say it's like alpha, beta, gamma, and she'll be like, it could be alpha. I think it's alpha or beta. And she won't, whatever one that she doesn't name, and then the last one they have to guess the right one. It's like a hilarious guessing game. And they get the belt off. They save Lister in the nick of time. And then near the end, we find Rimmer and her strolling the hall, talking near the airlock again. When Lister comes back in, she manages to trip over the box of paperwork into the airlock, where she then accidentally pushes the wrong button and ejects herself into space. Rimmer then picks up the box of paperwork because he now has to fill it out. Short but sweet, but it is a fun episode. I love the idea of the entanglement, and particularly reminding us that Rimmer and Lister are intricately linked. I think that's a funny way of sort of doing a throwback, but yet also the whole the synchronicity and the coincidence of it's a fun gag, especially for a comedy. So absolutely no problem. It's not like the most memorable or like experientially like crazy cool episode, but it's a simple comedic formula that I like. And with these group of gentlemen, never gonna stop laughing at it. Always made me chuckle. So next time we will be looking at Dear Dave, and you should have another episode. That episode will be coming soon, since I'm behind on this one. We will have that on our regularly scheduled time, so you should see that on Wednesday. A little behind, but I'm going to catch us back up so we can wrap up series 10. We've only got 2 more series to go, so please like, subscribe, share, comment. Let us know things you like what we're doing, things you don't like what we're doing, and you do not have to limit it to this podcast. But you can write us. We have our socials in the below, but you can write us at notfunnyguys.offthereels@gmail.com in the description or in the ticker. Like I said, write us, ask us questions. It doesn't just have to be about what we're doing here with the TV. You can ask us about movies. We have a podcast for that. You can ask us about wrestling and horror stuff. We have a podcast for that. And if you want to, you can even ask us stuff about academics, culture, and stuff. And we have a podcast for that. So what are those podcasts? We have, first of all, if you want to talk to us a little bit more about TV shows and things of that nature, you can write us about what's going on the YouTube channel. If that's not your thing and you want to talk about movies, we are currently working on the Scream franchise. We've done all the Marvel movies. We have a whole back catalog of stuff. But we're currently working our way through the Scream films. We just did we just did Scream 3. So we covered the first 3, the first trilogy. And you can check that out at Not Funny Guys Presents Off the Reels. Where you can find more about that material there and other movies. You can check us out. If that's not your cup of tea and you want to check into that wrestling and horror stuff, my Not Funny colleagues, Eric and Casey, who we do on the main podcast all together, they are over there doing that with Not Funny Guys Presents Wrestling with the Horror of It All. And if you want to check out more of the academic culture stuff, you can come back and find me and our Not Funny gal, Dr. Kristen, over on Not Funny Guys Presents Thinking About Thinking, which comes out on Thursdays. We're on season 2 over there, so come check us out. And we've been talking a lot about historical coincidences, but we'll see where we go from there. We talk about teaching culture and all that fun stuff. A little bit more of the academics flavor, so if that's something you're looking for, come check us out. Otherwise, until then, please like, subscribe, comment, and remember, don't be a smeghead. Keep it not funny, and I'll see you next time.